The attic was always a place of mystery. Daniel loved visiting his grandmother when he was younger. She had lived in the same house for 50 years, and the attic was like a time capsule. After her passing, it fell to Daniel to clear out her belongings.
I found old photographs, dusty furniture, and boxes filled with forgotten memories. Then, tucked away in a dusty book, I found a train ticket.
It was yellowed with age, but remarkably well preserved. The date on the ticket sent shivers down his spine. October 15th, 1947. His grandmother's maiden name was printed on the ticket. It was for a place called Raven Hollow, a place he had never heard of.
The ticket felt heavy in my hand, heavier than it should. It was as if it held a hidden weight. I ran my fingers over the faded ink, a sense of wonder washing over me. Could this be real? Could a simple train ticket actually transport me through time?
Daniel decided he had to find out. He had always been a curious soul, and the thrill of the unknown was too tempting to resist. He tucked the ticket into his wallet, a sense of purpose settling over him. He was going to find Raven Hollow. Finding information about Raven Hollow proved to be a challenge. It was like the town had been erased from maps and memories. Days turned into weeks as Daniel searched tirelessly, his determination growing with each passing day.
I scoured libraries and historical archives. I even consulted old census records, hoping for a clue. Finally, I stumbled upon a faded map in a forgotten corner of a local bookstore. It was a hand-drawn map depicting a small town nestled in a valley surrounded by dense forests. The name of the town was barely visible, Raven Hollow.
Daniel's heart skipped a beat. He traced the route on the map with his finger, his mind racing with anticipation. It was a long shot, but it was the only lead he had. With renewed determination, Daniel packed his bags and set off on a journey into the unknown.
The drive to Raven Hollow was long and arduous. My old car sputtered and groaned as it navigated winding roads. The closer I got, the more isolated the landscape became. The air grew heavy with the scent of pine, and a strange stillness settled over the woods.
As he approached the coordinates marked on the map, he noticed a dilapidated sign half hidden by overgrown vines. The words were barely legible. "Welcome to Raven Hollow." Daniel's pulse quickened. He had found it. The train station was a relic of a bygone era. Its paint peeled and its windows were boarded up. Daniel stepped inside, the air thick with dust and the weight of forgotten memories.
I approached the ticket window, hesitant but resolute. I placed the old ticket on the counter.
This ticket is ancient. Where did you find it?
I took a deep breath and recounted the story of my grandmother and the attic discovery.
To his surprise, the station master didn't scoff or dismiss his tale. Instead, he looked at Daniel with a strange intensity.
The Raven Hollow line hasn't run in over 70 years, but there are whispers, legends, of a train that travels through time.
He punched the old ticket, the sound echoing through the empty station. Daniel took the ticket, his hand trembling. He walked out to the platform, a strange mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. The platform was deserted. Daniel paced back and forth, his anticipation growing with each passing minute. The only sound was the wind whistling through the cracks in the platform. He checked his watch, a knot of unease forming in his stomach. It was almost midnight.
Suddenly, the sound of a distant whistle pierced the silence. My heart leapt into my throat. I turned towards the sound, my eyes widening in disbelief.
A train was approaching, its steam engine billowing smoke into the night sky. It was a vintage locomotive, its sleek black exterior gleaming under the moonlight. The train screeched to a halt in front of him. The doors hissed open, revealing a scene that seemed straight out of a 1940s film noir.
The train was filled with passengers dressed in elegant suits and flowing gowns, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the train's interior lights. I hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. I had come this far, but a part of me wondered if I had made a terrible mistake.
He took a deep breath and stepped onto the train, the doors closing behind him with a resounding thud. The The air inside the train was thick with the scent of pipe tobacco and perfume.
I felt a strange sensation wash over me, like I was being transported not just through space, but also through time.
The passengers around him chatted amongst themselves, their voices a low murmur that seemed to belong to another era.
I found an empty seat and settled in, my eyes taking in the details of the train's interior.
Everything was meticulously preserved, from the plush velvet seats to the ornate lamps overhead. It was like stepping back in time. As the train pulled away from the station, a conductor in a crisp uniform approached Daniel. He glanced at Daniel's ticket and then looked at him with a knowing smile.
"Welcome aboard," he said, his voice smooth and reassuring. "It seems you're destined for Raven Hollow."
Daniel nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat.
I looked out the window, watching as the landscape blurred into a surreal tapestry of moonlight and shadows.
He had no idea what awaited him in Raven Hollow, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was on the verge of something extraordinary. As the train journeyed deeper into the night, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He caught snippets of conversations, whispers of a prophecy, and someone referred to as the one we've been waiting for.
I tried to focus on the scenery outside the window, but the atmosphere inside the train was thick with anticipation. It was as if everyone on board knew something I didn't, and I was the only one out of the loop.
A woman with silver hair and piercing blue eyes approached him. She wore a long, flowing gown that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Her gaze was intense, as if she was looking straight through him.
"You're here. The prophecy spoke of your arrival. You are the one who will break the curse."
Prophecy? Curse? What was she talking about?
Before he could ask, the train lurched to a halt, the sudden stop throwing him off balance. He looked out the window, his heart pounding in his chest. They had arrived at Raven Hollow. Stepping off the train, Daniel found himself in a bustling town square, frozen in time. Gaslights illuminated cobblestone streets lined with quaint shops and bustling cafes. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and lively conversation.
People in 1940s attire strolled along the sidewalks, going about their daily routines as if oblivious to the passage of time. Children chased each other through the square, their laughter echoing through the night air. It was like stepping into a forgotten world, a place where time stood still.
Daniel wandered through the streets, his senses overwhelmed by the sights and sounds of a bygone era. He passed a bakery filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread, a jazz club pulsating with music, and a newsstand displaying headlines from decades past.
I felt a tap on my shoulder and turned to see the silver-haired woman from the train.
"Welcome to Raven Hollow. This town exists outside of time."
The woman led Daniel through the heart of the town towards a quaint cottage with a white picket fence.
"She's been waiting for you."
Daniel's heart skipped a beat as he realized who she meant. He had come to Raven Hollow seeking answers, but he never imagined he would have a chance to see his grandmother again. He stepped inside the cottage and found himself face to face with a younger version of his grandmother. Her eyes sparkled with life, and her smile was as radiant as he remembered. She rushed towards him, embracing him in a hug that was both familiar and bittersweet.
"Daniel, I knew you'd find your way here. I've been waiting to tell you how much you mean to me, how proud I am of the man you've become."
Tears streamed down Daniel's face as he listened to his grandmother's words. He had missed her terribly, and being reunited with her, even in this surreal setting, filled him with a sense of peace he hadn't realized he was missing. They spent hours talking, sharing stories, and making up for lost time. Before he knew it, the first rays of dawn were peeking through the window. As the sun rose, Daniel felt a pull, a sense that his time in Raven Hollow was coming to an end. He hugged his grandmother tightly, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he couldn't stay.
"It's time for you to go. But remember, I'll always be with you in your heart and in your memories."
He stepped off the train in the very same station he had arrived at, the memories of Raven Hollow already fading like a dream. The station master was nowhere to be seen. Daniel reached into his pocket for the train ticket, but it was blank. The date, the destination, his grandmother's name, all gone. He stood on the deserted platform, the silence broken only by the sound of the wind whistling through the cracks. He looked back at the tracks, half expecting to see the ghostly train reappear, but there was nothing. Daniel was alone with only his memories and a heart full of bittersweet joy.